So we've been, y'all, in a series called Catfish. Have y'all enjoyed it? So let me explain Catfish for all you mature people out there. Catfish is phony baloney. Catfish is our society now, right? Where we can, social media can have everybody being doctors. Social media can everybody being life coaches. Social media can literally, people are now living in mansions since the pandemic because they learned how to do TikToks and they got viral, right? Now we have gotten this craving for more attention than Jesus. And so what happens is it pulls us to overextend ourselves, right? How many of y'all have ever overextended yourself? How many of y'all have a hard time saying no? Come on, how many? Look, everybody in this room just about have a hard time saying no, right? And then when we don't say no and we keep giving, and then we start feeling underappreciated, what happens? Come on, we talk back in this church. Talk back in the comment section. What happens when you give, and nobody says thank you? Huh? Resentful? Burnout? Yep. All of those things. You start feeling all of the things that the enemy wants you to feel in order to stop you from moving into your destiny, right? You've been hurt so bad. We're talking about church hurt the whole month of September. I'm going to shove church hurt down y'all's throat till you're healed. I'm talking church hurt, family hurt, daddy hurt, mama hurt, everything. Why? Because the enemy gets us to a place where we never allow ourselves to heal. And then when God brings us a blessing in our life, we curse the blessing because we're afraid it's too good to be true. And so then we turn into catfish. We fake it and never make it. And if anything this pandemic has taught us, it's taught us, man, now we got masks on, right? And the mask is great because we can cuss you out and you never know we're cussing you out. So now basically what's happened is we've muted ourselves, we living behind a mask, we're scared to death. Anybody got a little bit of tension and scared because of everything going on in the world right now? Anybody? Like I get requests, I get messages every night, Pastor, are we in the end times? Are we in the end? I don't know about y'all, but this is not the time to not know your Bible. This is not the time to not feel like you have power. This is not the time to be arch enemies with your husband or your wife. This is not the time to be Petty Crocker and Petty Patrick. This is not the time to be using the old ways for new things. This is not the time. This is not the time. And so we're going to talk about that today. I want to ask you a very pertinent question. How are you communicating? How are you communicating? Are you talking? Communication kills assumption, right? Or are you just leaving and never giving anybody a chance to set things right? Still mad at your mom and she don't even know why. She doesn't know how to fix anything because we don't tell her, right? So we go through this life, but we're going to talk today about communicating. The doors are opening for your life, and where you are and where you've been has not been punishment, it's been preparation. If we look at the divorce, if we look at this pandemic, if we look at the sickness, if we look at the grief, if we look at all the things that we've gone through, if we realize that every single place we are, God already knew we were going to be there, which means what? He's blessed that season that we're in. But we can't move to another place until we get out of our way. Most of the time, we are the ones in our way. And we look at things and seasons of detriment and devastation. And man, I knew I heard from God, but where's he at now? I don't hear him, right? All of these seasons for your life have been preparation, but we look at it as punishment. And when you look at things as punishment, then you get bitter, you get offended, right? How do you go through a offense? Because you're going to be offended. Your boss ain't going to tell you thank you. You stayed up all night long working on that project, and your boss never said thank you. In fact, Susan got all the credit for it. How do you communicate when your spouse watches the game and forgets you're even there? How do you communicate when your child is acting trifling at school and you need him to straighten up? How are you communicating? I just need to take a break. Taking a break's not going to fix nothing. Taking a break's good for time out, breathe, because words have power. But how are you communicating? Are you carrying on the same cycles in your life and causing doom and gloom in your life because you're not learning how to communicate? You're still communicating the old way you've done it for the last 50 years, and now you're like old and you ain't gonna change for nothing. I'm old enough now, I can say whatever I wanna say. Well, you've been saying whatever you wanted to say your whole life, and how's that work for you? Right? Now is the time to stop pointing the finger and look at the 3 pointing back at us. Because I don't know about you, but I just lost 2 years to a pandemic. And my Bible says in Joel 2:25 that he's gonna give me back everything the devil stole. Some of y'all have lost 18 years fighting for a marriage. Some of y'all married someone and you had all of these red flags and everybody told you not to do it, and you stayed in this relationship and nothing ever changed. In fact, it got worse because you didn't want that person to be right about your situation. And so when you saw the red flags, you're like, oh, I thought it was a carnival. And so now you're going through life making excuses for why you want to stay where you are. You go to a therapist, and if that therapist don't tell you what you want to hear, you leave and go somewhere else. We've got a whole bunch of friends that all celebrate our dysfunction. A bunch of friends that say, oh yeah, I understand, girl, I do the same thing. I throw him out with the bathwater. I'm just saying. All your friends look like you. Why? Because we don't want to be told the truth. And now in our society, we think everybody is haters. Oh, she's a hater. Oh, he's just a hater. My pastor don't know what he's talking about. He don't see the good in me. Maybe he sees what's been messing you up your whole life. Maybe she is trying to help you and not jealous of you, right? It's all about communication. Relationships are hard. Anybody in here? Relationships are hard. Relationships is easier to pretend everything's going good and sweep it under the rug, right? And then all of a sudden your kids graduate and y'all are just kind of looking at each other at the table now like, who are you? Who are you? Y'all used to couldn't keep your hands off each other, right? But because we've quit and just swept things under the rug, right? Now we're staring and don't know what now we're getting married. We're getting married with all the red flags. Now we already need breaks before we get married. I just need to take a break from you. And y'all gonna get married? You got to learn how to fight holding hands. And this is not just for relationships, men and women. This is for friends. This is for church. That's why I'm so proud of Limitless Church. This is why I'm so proud of Inner Circle. I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm a fighter for relationships. I'm a fighter for winning the world. I know what it will mess you up. And so I speak about it every day. I step on your toes every day. I sit in your lap with my butt bone going in your feet. And Kim. I do it because I know that if you will just surrender everything over to God and you will fix you, everything in your world will change. It's not about getting someone to love you the right way. Well, I just can't find the right one. Maybe because you aren't the right one. Right? We've got lists and lists and lists of what we want by the time we're 40. And then when it doesn't happen by the time we're 40, we throw our whole life away with the bathwater. Just throw it away. Might as well just go sit down and do what? Right? We sit down and we waste our life away. We forget to laugh. We forget to live. Eating becomes our favorite friend. We sit at home watching 600-Pound Life so our life will look better. Instead of fixing us. Relationships are hard, and most of us, if we're honest, we're not shown the best role models growing up. We're not shown the best role models, right? Nowadays, there's so many families that husbands and wives are not together, and then you can't move on from the relationship after y'all separated. You're still stuck at 3 years, and he's done married and got 10 more kids, and you're still over there, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. Why he could just move on and I can't? Because you keep staring at his page. Because we're over here breaking our own hearts and not allowing God to heal us. In this whole series, y'all, we've been talking about how to improve our daily efforts to have better relationships. You know what I've discovered? I've discovered that communication kills assumption. I've learned to stop saying things whenever I'm mad. I literally, when I start feeling offended at stuff, y'all, nowadays in this society, we get offended at people we don't even know. We think posts are about us. I know she's talking about me. She ain't even thinking about you. She's actually posting for herself. But it's getting you. Why? Because God is saying, you won't listen to nobody else, so let me let a post or a meme help you. Right? But we don't want to fix it. So in these series, we're talking about having healthy relationships. And y'all, I want to start with this story. Listen. You might have heard this story, but it is hilarious. There was a woman, and she went to see a lawyer about getting a divorce. The lawyer decided it would be very helpful if he could get a little background. So he asked the woman if she had grounds for divorce. She said yes. She said, as a matter of fact, I have about 1.5 acres. You have grounds for divorce? I got 1.5 acres. He replied, perhaps I was not communicating very well. Let me try again. Do you have a grudge? The woman said, no, I don't have a grudge, but I have 2 double carports. He decided to try one more time. Does your husband beat you up? She answered, no, generally I get up before he does. Basically, the point is he realized that these are 2 different people with 2 different approaches, and they both hear differently. So today, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how to listen instead of listening to communicate. How many of y'all listen to communicate? I'm listening so I can answer you. Some of your kids wouldn't be so bad off if you would just listen and not try to explain why you didn't stay with their dad or what their dad did, trying to make yourself look better, and instead you're injuring your children because you can't just surrender, right? So we all do this, and we laugh at this story. We laugh at it, but communication has been a problem ever since Adam blamed Eve in the Garden of Eden, right? He blamed Eve, she blamed Adam. Whenever 2 people start talking, there are at least 4 messages sent forth. This is in your friends' zones. This is in your church. This is in your small groups. It's going to be in your connect groups. What he meant to say and what he actually said, what she meant to say and what she actually said, add to that with what she thinks and he thinks, and there's where the trouble starts. I'm going to help you this morning. I'm going to give you the right questions to ask. I'm going to help you communicate. I'm going to help you get rid of your pride, okay? Y'all listen to James, the brother of Jesus, in James 1:19. It says, understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to talk. To talk. To talk. You must be quick to listen and slow to what? Get angry. That means it doesn't matter what you're going through. I'm not going to let you remove me from my place of peace. Kim, that is impossible. That is easier said than done. Because, girl, listen, I spent my whole life suppressing it. And when I finally had enough, ain't nobody, I ain't got to say nothing. It's the face. The face. I ain't got to open, it ain't the words. You got to worry about my face. Not realizing that the enemy has allowed years and years and years of you not communicating, right? To get to a place now where you get angry at everything, right? And nowadays we've raised our kids to be brats. Anybody else? If they don't get their way, they're brats. Now we're sending them into the married world. All they've seen their whole married life, because you didn't want a single parent home, is y'all yelling and screaming at each other. Yelling and screaming. All they knew was Jerry Springer. In fact, now when they see Jerry Springer on TV, they're like, oh, this ain't nothing. Because we don't learn how to communicate. We don't feel. I think at the end of the day, it's about us not being or feeling worthy to communicate. Like we don't feel worthy to be heard. We don't think we're good enough because maybe your daddy didn't fight for you, your mama didn't fight for you. Maybe you felt like you were always overlooked, but it says to be slow to speak and slow to anger. The key to a good relationship is in the ear. That means you got to communicate. You got to listen. Y'all, you heard me right, married couples. It's not in the bedroom. It's in the ear. Because here's what happens. It's cool to have all the connections. But once that connection, 10 years down the road, and you lose that, y'all don't even like each other. I think the real key to relationships is like. You got to like each other. Like you got to be like, hey, you got to be able to tell jokes to each other. You gotta like each other enough that when you wake up or you see him on the bed, you're just like, is he not the cutest thing ever? When she wakes up, she's got her moo-moo on, her hairnet, and she's walking through the house, you're like, that's my best friend. Hey, best friend, right? You gotta have that connection so that y'all actually like each other, that you're friends, and it starts in the ear. You're best friends, right? If you ain't got no friends, it's because you're selfish. You heard me. Because relationships, they matter. Why do you think women can't get along? Because women, man, when we come together in a sisterhood and we're celebrating each other and we're cheering each other on and we're so proud of you for writing the book and we're so proud of you for starting the t-shirt company, we're sharing it, we're doing this, we're doing that. What is it? It's a sisterhood. When people come together, and so what does the enemy do? The enemy gets you so caught up in being hurt that now you've erected all of these walls up in your life and you're all by yourself. And then a pandemic comes and you have nobody. Because you've never allowed the walls to come down in your life because you've lost the art of communicating. So we really shouldn't be surprised that communication is a big problem in our world because we've lost the inability to say what we mean and mean what we say in love. We hold it in and then we combust. We combust. And you know what I remember? It said, what was that saying when you were little? It says, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Y'all, it's bad. I will take my heels off and my shoes when I hear a man hit a woman or a woman hitting a man, because it happens. But I don't think it's even as bad as the words that come out. When you start calling your spouse or calling your friends names, out of their names, you start calling them. Y'all are going down a slippery slope. The one thing that I've recognized in the last year, God's really brought incredible couples in my life. Great couples that stinking love each other. They like going to Miami together, and they ain't drinking and partying. They don't have to drink every night just to be in each other's presence. They like each other. And so you've got to learn to never let an offense in your heart from something in your past. If you're sitting in this church today and you're still going to a therapist over something that happened to you 13 years ago, you've got to make a choice to let it go so God can use you all over the world for that offense that you're spending $150 for to talk to Arlene about. When all you got to do is make up in your mind, I'm not staying here anymore. I'm getting up and I'm walking out of this thing, and if I get pulled back tomorrow, I'm going to get up again and I'm going to move forward again. Well, it's easier said than done. No, it ain't. All you got to do is do it. Who cares who gets the last word? Who cares? But now we got this social media. My son said it while ago sitting in the back office. He said, I can't believe how people share their business all over online. When you walk through a divorce, you got people that go out there and advertise to a whole bunch of people in an app. Well, we decided to not let it work. We're going to split today. And you've broken so many people's heart that look at you like relationship goals. It was none of their business. But there's something in us that wants to hurt somebody before they hurt us. So we put it all out on social media. Let me move forward. Most marriage counselors would agree the average couple could solve the vast majority of their problems if they would only learn to communicate with each other. And the word communication means to commune. It's in friendships too. To commune. To pick up that phone and say, baby, what's going on? See, I think the delivery. It's that delivery. It's that delivery. It's that I'm mad at you and I want to act like I'm not mad at you. But how many of you know that when something's in your heart, it comes out of your actions? When something's in your heart, it comes out of your mind. Communication is what happens when we begin to talk with each other and not at each other. Communicate. And here's a simple definition, y'all, for communication. It is a mutual understanding achieved through mutual listening. Through mutual listening. That suggests a basic thought. The key to good communication is in the ear, not the tongue. Come on, somebody. Many people think that the more they talk, the more they have communicated. It's not true. I always tell people, well, I don't know how else to do it. I'm going to say, well, I mean, I'm reading your message on Instagram, and I can tell you right now, you are the problem. You're the problem because you're already in attack mode. But it ain't my fault, Kim. I remember one time I walked in this church, and there was a couple that I was about to counsel. I walk in, and I hear screaming. And I think, oh, no, not my office. And I walk in there, and the lady is standing over her husband, and she is in his face like that, and the man's just sitting there. And I walked in there, I said, sit down. You ain't doing that in my office. And I said, you see that man right there? He's not hearing one word you've said. And all your kids are going to be so dysfunctional because this is what you're showing them. You can come to church every Sunday. The problem is you don't even make your kids come to church no more because you don't want to fool with little Johnny. He gets up and throws himself around the house. But he's going to be getting up at 5 a.m. when they put him in jail because you didn't raise him to know who Jesus was. Right? But we don't do it because we don't communicate, because now we're mad at his daddy, we're mad at his mom, we're mad at each other, we're mad at my aunt. I come to church, they watch me worship, the whole service. Walking out of the church, Pastor Kim, you did so good, sister. You sat in my lap today. And you get in the car, and all they hear is, I don't know what her problem is. I don't know. She needs to heal, obviously, because she is always ratchet. But Mama, I just heard you tell her. I'm a great pastor. But listen, I can't be at your house 24/7. And my prayer, and I'm watching it happen in this church, we're getting to a place where we are revolutionizing our worlds. People that felt like they were nothing are now rising to the occasion and being carriers of the gospel. How does that happen? We get our attitude under control. I can't stand somebody that can't control their mood. No coffee, no talkie. You gonna let a whole liquid ounce of Starbucks dictate whether you got peace? Well, I ain't slept in months because you ain't got no peace. Why? Because your insides are full of hate and envy. The church world's the worst. They don't even come to church now. My biggest church is online. Thank you, online. Let me tell you why. Because we don't put Jesus first anymore. He's a 1-800 dial Clio. Wonder why everything in our life's going to hell and we ain't got no money. Y'all working your feet to the bone. You are tired and you still ain't got no money. Why? Because oh God, I'm being mean today, ain't I? A critical spirit brings forth poverty. You can work 12 jobs, but if your heart is ugly, your money is tainted. Your relationships are broken. Woo! Well, this is just who I am. Take it or leave it. Everybody's leaving it. When your heart is right, you ain't got to do no Facebook purge. You don't have to put up a post and say, if you love me, everybody tell me who loves me. Why? Because the people that don't like you, the people that are the devils in your life, you ain't got to cut them off when you get right, Sheena. They cut themselves off. You ain't got to worry about nothing. You ain't got to worry about what will come out in the future from your past. You ain't got to worry about what they used to know about you. Baby, when you get your heart right, you ain't got to go back and right the wrong. Your wrong is fixed. Because God is a restorer. You could have been messy Mallory yesterday, but when you get your heart right, God will elevate you, honey. Well, I remember when you used to nay-nay, but girl, now I'm praying. But I ain't got to tell you I'm praying now. My fruit speaks for itself. Get your heart right. Come on, somebody say it. I'm getting my heart right because I'm leading the pack in this next season. Oh, you've been sleeping on me. I hope you got your rest because I'm coming out of hell. And when I come out of hell, I'm bringing everybody with me. My haters are going to love me. Here's one of the roadblocks of why your relationships stink. You ready for this? You're exhausted. You are exhausted. You are too tired to talk about the real issues. You're turning on ABC. Turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. You knowing that there's trailers and trailers full of bodies. Did you see it? But we're scared to death. Too busy watching Wendy Williams. Hi, girl. You attract what's in you. I talked about it last week. Go look at who you're following on social media. You can always tell who you are by what you get underneath your comments. Who's under your comments communicating with you? Messy? All messy? Bunch of feminists? Bunch of angry single women? What are your posts? Y'all, I pray about everything I post now. I used to be like, bye, Felicia. God was like, stop it. Get your heart right. Because you know what? You may not mean it, Kim. You may not mean it like that. But when you get all these people that are hurt and broken, you're validating them to stay broken. Stop wasting your hell, saints. Family. Stop wasting your hell. Stop living off of emotion. Stop putting your hurt on other people. Stop bleeding on people that didn't cut you. Get sleep. You got to take, this lady I know, she takes 10 Ambien. She takes like 5 sleeping pills and she still can't sleep. I was like, girl, I would fall at the feet of Jesus. You got so much junk going on in your life that you got to take all that to calm down. Whew. Nowadays, one of the reasons that we're exhausted is because we overcommit. You can't wait to go out on Friday night and look cute for everybody. You spent all week on Shein trying to find an outfit. Tracked it all the way this week because you needed it Friday night. But you ain't one time been on your knees. You ain't tracking Jesus. We got Instacart now. We do everything to save time except spend time with Jesus. We get ahead of God in our ministries. We get a little few likes and we're like, oh. Now I'm walking up in the church. Didn't you see I have hit 100,000 followers? I'm sure you have a VIP seat for me. No, we don't. We don't have any reserved seats in our church. Have a seat wherever you want to. Because being famous on social media is like being rich in Monopoly money. Have a seat. I care about your heart. I want you to get to heaven and hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. The second reason, number one reason that your relationships are going to hell in a handbasket is exhaustion. Number 2 is materialism. Materialism. We want the greatest of everything. We ain't never happy. You ever seen those women that buy all this furniture in their house and then about 2 months later, they trying to buy something else because they bored? Shopping, bored. Nothing fulfills them. Closets and closets and closets. Now, I can't hit this because I still have tickets on some of my clothes. But we buy, but I am very frugal. Y'all hear me? I shop frugal. Some things. But materialism, this is a common problem, y'all. We want. We do Air Force Ones. I tried to buy my staff some Air Force Ones because I like to bless. I couldn't even find them. Sold out. I'm thinking, I wonder if these people are tithing. 10 cents on those, $10 on the 104 they're spending on these I Force Ones or Air Force Ones or whatever. But see, we've got our priorities wrong. I got to look good. Right? Here's roadblock number 3, technology. You ever walk in that place and you see everybody on their phones? My bad. I do it. We taking pictures of our food. We put it up on Instagram. They can't wait. Because we want approval from people we'll never meet. And letting the relationship go to hell in a handbasket. Tired. Trying to make it. Trying to become successful, be successful. Spend 18 hours trying to do a TikTok today. Because you got to do all those different there. Oh, Jesus, by the time you get it up, you get 5 likes. When if you had stayed on your knees and started getting your heart right, you would have become contagious. You would have had some oil on you. When you walk into a room, everything changes. Why? Because you're so awesome. Because you've spent so much time with God that you're oozing out of your pores with Jesus juice. Your liquid love coming out everywhere. Number 4 reason that your relationships are going to hell in a handbasket is accumulated grievances. You're angry. You're resentful. I think for a long time we just neglect relationships. You could say that about most couples that have problems. Little things build up. That's why the Bible says in Ephesians 4:26, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. That's even with your friends. There's a divine time limit on your anger. Solve your problems before bed. Before long, y'all ain't even sleeping together. Y'all roommates. Well, we don't like each other like that. Y'all ain't even touching each other's feet. That companionship, gone. And you wonder why you feel isolated. Holding grudges. What starts as an overnight anger becomes a grudge. Here's why. The anger sinks in and slowly turns to resentment. Because what you think about when you drift off to sleep becomes part of your subconscious. Over time, it hardens like concrete. I'm talking, y'all, this is for your kids. Why are you not talking to your kids? Well, they won't talk to me. That's okay, but at least get your heart right. Be available, right? Your negative emotions have clogged the pipeline. As a result, the sludge of a bad attitude clogs up the communication line, and nothing really gets through. You ready for some tips? You ready for this ship to turn? Huh? Good. 1 Peter 3:7 says, in the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Some of y'all like, girl, I ain't even married. Why are you talking about this? Because you're going to be. No, I ain't never going to get married again. You will. When you heal, you will probably. It says, in the same way, husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. This is why a lot of times, it's the way you treat your coworkers, right? It's the way we was walking around. Ugh. James 1:19 says, understand this, my dear brothers and sisters, you must all be quick to what? To talk. Be quick to listen. Slow to, but I got something to say. I'm full of wisdom. Oh, you're going to hear me on today. Nope, it's a slow to speak. But Kim, I can't help it. It just comes out. It just, oof. I just got to say, I'm watching y'all. Some of y'all doing this. We all do it. That's why I talk about it. Every single thing I preach about, I've struggled with. But it's possible for us to be in control of our emotions. Slow to get angry. So here's what you got to do. Here's the key. Listen more. Listen more. The text simply says be quick to hear. The first step to good communication is listening more. As the saying goes, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. My dad used to say that. 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. So my question to you today is, how are you communicating? Come on online, drop it, tell us. Just go on and just spill the beans. How are you communicating? How are you communicating? Are you eating up when you can't say what you want to say? I used to have a control problem. I used to be straight up Jezebel. I did. I remember I was like, if I didn't get my way, or if I didn't, you gonna hear me. Always had to have the last word. And it was always tension in my house. It was terrible, right? Terrible. So listen more is number one. Active listening means you focus on the other person. Listen to this. I'm gonna give you tools, and you're welcome. Y'all's husbands or wives gonna be sending me messages after church. Pastor, thank you. Active listening, listen closely, means you focus on the other person. You listen to the whole statement and let the meaning of it sink in. Then you restate it in your own words. Oh, girl, that's too much. It changes everything. I remember when I was on Preachers of Atlanta, and they would always ask me a question, and I would have to repeat the question because there was something about communicating what the question was, again, in my own words, that was going to get across to the viewers more than if they just asked me the question. So even in all walks of life, it's leaning in, it's listening, it's letting it sink in. Here are some tips for active listening. You're welcome, spouses. Lean toward the person. Lean toward the person while they are talking to you. Look directly at them instead of letting your eyes wander. Y'all ever been talking to somebody and you can tell they are already trying to figure out what they're going to eat for lunch? Mimi does it. She's working on it. I used to do it. Whenever they're talking and your eyes are going everywhere and you're looking around, I even try, because I got a little bit of, I'm healed of ADHD, but I still got a lot of the H. And when somebody's trying to tell me every detail, you got any of those detail people? They got to tell me how they turned at the right light. They sat there for 5 minutes, and you're like, bottom line. I don't care about the turn. I don't care the street name. I don't care how many times I went to a therapist. I just need to know, how did it turn out, girl? Come on, give me the ending, because I know there's something good, right? But you got to lean in. You got to listen. Lean in. Number 2 is listen. Listen with your eyes and ears. Look for nonverbal cues. Those cues usually indicate some level of stress. Lean in. This is the worst. You're in a heated argument with your loved one or your child. Hurry, and the phone rings. Hello? Yeah, good day. That person's like, yes, honey, yes. Girl, get Friday night, 7 o'clock, yeah. And that's what happens. That person sees that you could handle your emotions to somebody that don't matter. And the enemy is weaseling his little self right on up in there. You lean in, you listen. Number 3, don't interrupt. Y'all, if you don't get your lives right, God cannot use you. He can't. How's he going to use you for the world when he can't even use you in your house? No coffee, no talking. But yeah, you want him to use you for the world. You want him to let you be a boss of a CEO that you got to go up and turn the alarm off at your office at 3 o'clock in the morning when it goes off with ADT. But no coffee, no talking. Oh, but you're going to get in that car and you're going to go in your house robe. It's the little areas that we just let run out of control. That the enemy weasels in. It says the little foxes, JJ, it says the little foxes spoiled the vine. Don't interrupt. Period, don't interrupt. Just don't do it. Don't finish someone else's sentences either. Stop trying to tell me what I'm saying. You know those friends? You're like, and I'm telling you something. And she goes, yeah. And he finishes your sentence. You're like, well, nope, that wasn't what I was going to say, but since it's already in your mind, might as well not even say it at all. Right? Don't interrupt, period. Don't finish someone else's sentences. Here's the next thing. Ask clarifying questions. Oh, could you repeat that for me? And don't say, so what you're saying is, nope. Shutting down, right? Ask, could you repeat that for me because you matter so much to me. Well, he don't matter. I pray every night for God to kill him with a train. It's all because of your heart posture that you got to fix that so you can be blessed abundantly. You got to ask questions like, how long have you been feeling that way? Man, I'm so sorry. What else about that really bothers you? What bothers you about when I ask you to make the bed and I go back and redo it? What bothers you about whenever I don't put the toilet seat down and you fall into it? What bothers you, right? Instead of walking around angry and he hears you telling your mom on the phone, I don't know how I'm ever going to teach him nothing. And then wonder why there's resentment there. Here's the next one. Don't plan your response while you're listening to them. The Bible says be slow to speak, slow to anger. Learn to listen. When you are finished saying something, just say, let me see if I can put this in my words because I want to understand this. Now, it might sound like you're being petty for a second, but your body language and your delivery matters. Ask clarifying questions. Don't plan your response. And when they are finished saying something, say, let me work on that. Work with me. I may not do good tomorrow. I might fail again tomorrow. I might mess up tomorrow. Even in relationships, y'all. Maybe you're in a terrible relationship. And now God's brought you a gift. They're great. You ever seen those people, man? They got like the greatest husbands. But yeah, they're so afraid of losing them. And all you ever hear that woman doing is yelling at him. You're thinking, man, I wish I had somebody like that. But she's so afraid of losing him that she wants him to know, I don't need you. And in the process, she's breaking the blessing that God's sending her. Same thing with you, sir. You don't show your spouse a picture of something hotter than her and say, oh, she would never date me. Instead of just looking at her and saying, man, I think your hair would look good like this, Mama. Won't you switch some things up? Ask yourself, how are you delivering? Are you using manipulation? Even with your kids. You can play with me, Ralph. Proverbs 18:13 says, talks about answering before listening is both stupid and rude. Some of y'all missing out on a lot of good things in this life because you won't let go of bitterness. My daddy used to say, you get a whole lot of honey. What was it? You get more honey from come on, oldies, y'all. You get more bees with honey than vinegar. Something like that. Y'all get it. Talk Lex. The text tells us be slow to speak. You don't have to catfish nobody. When your heart's right, y'all listen, you ain't got to explain yourself. When your heart is right, it don't matter if they cancel you. You get on the cancel culture bus. You ain't even worried. You're like, it's okay, y'all go follow whoever. It's okay, because I know my heart's right. How do I know my heart's right? Because everywhere I go, my fruit speaks. My question to you is, how is your fruit? How is your fruit? I was raised in a religion where, man, the pastor scared the heck out of you. You were so scared that if you sat on the front row and didn't sit right, everything was fear tactic. Let's change that, y'all. Change it at your jobs. If you're a boss, stop making your staff hate to come to work. You don't even need a fish on the back of your car when your heart's right. People in my car get sick of riding with me because I let everybody out. Come on, girl. Come on. Come on. Why are you letting everybody go? Because I know what it's like to never get to go. And God just keeps on blessing me. I still get to work on time. Why? Because my heart's right. I get the lane where nobody is. I get the front parking spot. I get to go home early. Why? Because it's a law of draw. What my heart is, I attract. Come on, somebody. I'm talking less. I ain't talking so much. I'm slow. My body language. I will love you so much you'll be so uncomfortable. I will wrap myself around you, mask and all. I went from hating people to loving people is my favorite hobby on the planet. I never thought I'd be a great preacher, pastor. I'm a great pastor. Let me tell you why. Because I got my heart right. Because I wasn't walking around bleeding on y'all. I take everybody with me. I want my staff to do more than me. I want my RTK Inner Circle to do more than me. I want our online campus to do more than me. We had a lady that drove a long way to get here the first service. And she said, I came because my cousin was horrible. She was the meanest. She was the meanest. She was the meanest witch. Everybody knew it. Since she was a little girl, she was horrible. And all of a sudden, the whole family just watched her literally shift. She is literally the glue of our family now. In 6 months. And she said, all of us at the reunion were like, what in the world has happened to you? You don't even look the same. She said, real talk, Kim. Y'all, let me tell you why. Because I preach sermons like this. Because I tell you, they're not worth it. The anger ain't worth it. The daddylessness ain't worth it. Get up. Don't wait until you get skinny to be nice. Love all of you. Look in front of that mirror with the hailstorm dimples in your legs. Love you. Love all of you. Even your messiness, so that God could turn it into a message. She said, I had to come all the way here to just look at you. Because nobody, it wasn't me. It was that I'm available. It's because I want you to do better than me. Hearing those kind of stories is better than winning the lottery. Here's the problem. We've spent our whole life in organizations, in churches, where we lay out on the floor. It's revival if people are on the floor. But yet we've watched in this pandemic church people being the meanest people you've ever met in your life. Church people are the only ones that kill their wounded. Why? Because their hearts aren't right. Because they've spent their whole life screaming, I receive it. That's why, you know why pastors' kids don't go to church? Let me tell you why. Because they watch their mom and daddy live one way in church and one way out. Why? Because we catfished. We catfished for a bunch of people that would leave in 2 seconds. We didn't worry about what was in our house. That's why I love my daddy and my mama.